What up, boss? Thank you for joining me today. I wish you could see my beautiful, gorgeous face, but my computer microphone is not working, so I'm having to record this on my phone, but that doesn't mean we can't do it. So today we're going to be talking about cravings. If you think back to the check-in, I asked you guys what are some things that you want to learn more about, and I've had multiple people say cravings, how to curb them, and just learn more about them and how to control them. So today I want to go into it. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive on in. We're going to first talk about, when we're talking about cravings, we also have to talk about appetite and hunger. They are completely different things. So first, hunger is our body's natural physiological need to get in nutrients and eat. So when we're hungry, our stomach is growling. And when our stomach is growling, it is a hormone that's basically telling us, I need to eat. That hormone is called ghrelin. So ghrelin is released. Ghrelin makes your stomach growl. So that's how I like to remember that. Ghrelin keeps you alive. We are not going to be alive if we're not eating. So on the contrary, there's also leptin. Leptin is also a hormone that helps us regulate our hunger, but it's actually released when our body's telling us that we're full and that we're satisfied. So ghrelin makes you growl. Leptin makes you satisfied. Appetite is your overall disinterest or interest in the food in front of you. It is the desire or non-desire, I don't know if that's a word, undesire to eat. And then cravings are completely different. Cravings aren't really typically caused by hunger, although it can be, but they're mostly triggered by learned habits, emotions, hormonal changes, environmental cues, and even nutrient deficiencies. So they're triggered by habits because when we do something over and over and over again, it just becomes part of our routine and we don't even think about it. It's just part of our life. So if we're constantly going to the sugary things or the sweet things or the things that we know probably aren't the best, healthiest foods on the market, that is just a habit. So it can be triggered by habits. It can be triggered by emotions. So when we're feeling depressed, anxious, stressed, these are all emotions that can cause emotional eating. And we find comfort in food. So food makes us feel better in the moment. It makes us happy. So it can be triggered by emotions, hormonal changes. So ladies, our periods, and then also when we're pregnant. Men, it's obviously going to be a little different for you, but something that we all experience is stress. And when we talk about stress, we also talk about the stress hormone called cortisol. When cortisol is really high, this can decrease our dopamine levels, aka our feel-good neurotransmitter. And so when cortisol levels are high, dopamine levels are low, and we want to get that dopamine fix. How do we do that? By satisfying our cravings. So that's why stress eating is such a thing. Environmental cues can also cause cravings. So what I mean by that is when we have something that is in our reach, when we have that unhealthy food that has a lot of salt, sugar, fat in it, within our reach or within our sight, we're going to be more inclined to eat that food. And then also nutrient deficiencies. Your body is smart. If you're deficient in a nutrient or if you're deficient in calories, your body is going to trigger to you like, I need this nutrient or I need calories. And so when we're under eating or when we're not getting in certain foods, then that can also cause cravings. Cravings can also be for healthy things as well, too, though. I mean, for me, if I go 2 or 3 days without eating a green vegetable, my body is screaming at me, Maddie, I am dying, feed me veggies. And then I'll eat a veggie. Now, typically they are for unhealthy foods, but really it does come down to your body is going to crave what it habitually eats all the time. If you eat shitty foods all the time, your body's going to crave shitty foods. If you eat healthy foods all the time, your body's going to crave the healthier foods. And cravings, like I said, are different than hunger. They're not going to really be caused by hunger too much. They don't use ghrelin. They don't come from our stomach growling. They go through a dopamine pathway. So dopamine is a neurotransmitter that makes us feel good. And obviously we know that when we satisfy a craving or when we're thinking about a craving, it makes us feel really good about that food. So it goes through a dopamine pathway instead of a ghrelin pathway. Cravings, we mostly crave things that are salty, sugary, fatty, or even a combination of all three. Notice how I said mostly. This is typically the case, but like I said, I crave spinach when I haven't had a green vegetable in a while. Most of the time, it's not fueled by hunger, but it can be. People blame cravings on having a sweet tooth, having unhealthy eating behaviors, or having a lack of self-discipline. Although all of these things can be true, it is absolutely more complex than that. Cravings aren't just caused by your desire to eat a certain food or your lack of willpower. They're literally physiologically involving brain signals between neurons in the brain. They're behaviors that become habitual, and they're also caused by easy food access, kind of what I mentioned earlier. All of our cravings, for most people, are very hyperpalatable, which just means that foods that light up the reward systems of the brain, aka foods that release dopamine, our feel-good hormone, create high feelings of pleasure. So when we're eating candy or chips or McDonald's, all of these things are going to make us feel really good in the current moment. Our hormones that are responsible for our hunger, like I mentioned earlier, our ghrelin and our leptin, can become disrupted when we eat too many hyperpalatable foods. So the foods that are high in calories that come from sugar, salt, and fat, a lot of these times they're high in calories and low in nutrients. And when these things are high in calories, they're also typically low in volume as well, meaning it doesn't really fill us up too much, but offers a ton of calories. So when something offers a ton of calories and it doesn't fill you up a lot, you're gonna be hungrier. But you've already eaten so many calories already. So that's why these hormones can become disrupted, because our ghrelin will want us to eat more and more and more because our stomach isn't full, but we've had so many calories already. So that's where people can overeat on their calories and gain weight. And then also our leptin, the satiety hormone that lets us know that we're full and that we're satisfied, we will become desensitized to it, meaning we will eat more because we'll continue to feel hungry and never really satisfied when we're eating these hyperpalatable foods. So just to be aware of that. Repeatedly eating these foods that stimulate the reward region of the brain can lead to food addictions or emotional overeating. So foods that cause a release of dopamine in the brain can make us feel really good, and that can be a really addictive feeling to want to get back to, which is why people go for these hyperpalatable foods, because they're addicting. They make us feel really good in the current moment. A craving cycle. So I just said cravings make us feel good in the current moment. Cravings are at first really, really pleasurable. It's a good experience. But then after that, after we eat it and we satisfy the craving, in comes the feelings of guilt, shame, and pain. Ah, lovely. This dopamine release will also open up pathways in the brain that are responsible for agitation, discomfort, etc. So negative emotions. When we satisfy a craving and there's a release of dopamine, these can open up other negative emotions. So here are definitely some questions that you need to ask yourself when you start to crave something. Am I hungry, or do I just want something sweet? Do I want to deal with the pain of discipline or the pain of regret? So if something is going to make, the better that a food makes you feel, the more that you have to question if it's a good idea. Do you want to deal with the pain of discipline of saying no to that food right now and going for a better option? Or do you want to deal with the pain of regret later on when you still haven't broken the cycle of what you've been wanting to, and that's just, which is eating healthier for most of us. Most of us want to eat healthier. Do you want to deal with the pain of regret of not making the better choice? What is more important to me? Immediate satisfaction or delayed gratification? Read that again. What is more important to me? Immediate satisfaction or delayed gratification? When we prioritize delayed gratification, we're going to have more confidence in ourselves and our choices. We're going to have more control over our life. So which one is more important to you? And then if you look over at that yin and yang thing, I liked this because there's always going to be kind of like yin and yang. There's pleasure and pain, and there's pain and pleasure. It's weighing out what's more important to you. Y'all, when we're talking about cravings, we got to talk about the gut-brain axis. This is basically just the connection between the gut and the brain. It's connected through different chemical reactions, different neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, like we were talking about earlier. Those are our feel-good transmitters. Different nerves. There's actually 100 million different nerve cells in the gut itself. And then also through different hormones like leptin and ghrelin. So it's connected in all of these different ways. And so basically the food that we consume is going to create the mood that we feel. Food creates mood. We want to make ourselves happier and more comfortable as humans. That's just what we always want to do. And we a lot of times go to food in order to feel those happy and comfortable feelings. But actually, a study was found that the combination of leveling up your nutrition and exercise was actually 1.5 times more effective and beneficial at treating depression, anxiety, ADHD, Parkinson's, and any other mental health condition than all other medications and different therapies. So clearly this shows that food, exercise, and I forgot to mention sleep, but also sleep should literally be prescribed for treating these different medical or mental health conditions. Your body is designed to heal itself from the inside out if given the right tools and things that are consumed. Eating foods that are high in tyrosine, this is an amino acid, and remember, amino acids create protein. Eating foods high in tyrosine can increase our dopamine. Dopamine is our pleasure and reward and motivation neurotransmitter, and foods that contain that are dairy, soy, nuts, and cherries. We can also eat foods that are high in tryptophan. This is another amino acid that can increase our serotonin. This is a neurotransmitter that is helpful at helping us regulate our mood. It's good for sleep, and it's also helpful in digestion. So people that struggle with waking up at night should eat foods high in tryptophan to boost serotonin, because remember, it helps us sleep. And they should eat these foods especially at night because it helps regulate our sleep. And then foods that are going to contain tryptophan are turkey, eggs, dairy, lean meats, and fish. If our sleep sucks, or if we have disrupted sleep patterns, this is not good. If you are someone that experiences this, listen up. Disrupted sleep patterns can actually disrupt the production of our hunger and satiety hormones, like I was talking about earlier, the ghrelin and the leptin. When we have shit sleep, the production of these hormones is reduced, and therefore when we're not sensing when we're hungry or when we're full, this can increase our cravings and actually increase calorie consumption as well. So just keep that in mind. Shit sleep is correlated to weight gain. So foods that are going to be high in tryptophan include turkey, eggs, dairy, lean meats, and fish. All right, we're going to keep on talking about the gut-brain axis because it's a lot. You can literally train your brain how to think and behave through the bacteria in your gut, either good or bad. So when we think about the good bacteria in our gut, we are talking about the probiotics. So probiotics are the good bacteria, and prebiotics are the food that the good bacteria eats. So we have probiotics and we have prebiotics. So if we can train our brain how to think and behave through the bacteria in our gut, we need to focus on healing ourselves from the inside out through the foods that we eat and the behaviors that we do. When we address mental health, many times it's in the form of talk therapy and drugs that act on different neurotransmitters in the brain, like dopamine and serotonin, and those are typically associated with the brain. But actually, most of the neurotransmitters are in the gut. 90% of our serotonin is produced in the gut, and 50% of dopamine is produced in the gut. These neurotransmitters are the connections between different neurons. They control our bodily functions like movement, memory, learning, mood, etc. And they're also involved in different hormone signaling. Our GI tract lining gets damaged from the foods that we eat, like different fried foods, salty foods, super fatty foods, the ones I was talking about earlier when it comes to cravings. So when our GI tract lining gets damaged, this damages our cell walls. And when our cell walls get damaged, this can cause different GI issues like inflammation, leaky gut, belly aches, etc. So going back to probiotics, you don't need a probiotic pill necessarily. Foods that you can eat to improve your gut probiotics are fiber, ones that are not processed, Greek yogurt, kimchi, sauerkraut, etc. Really anything fermented is going to provide you with good bacteria for your gut. So if you're not getting these foods, definitely a probiotic pill might be helpful for you. But if you're looking to do it the most natural and sustainable way, highly recommend you start investing in these fermented foods. The gut bacteria also love exercise. So exercise is really good for increasing our healthy gut bacteria to help with any digestive issues that we might be facing. This is also crazy. You can change your entire gut microbiome, meaning the probiotics and the prebiotics in your gut, literally in just a few days by switching from processed foods to whole foods. So pretty insane how your body can heal itself so quickly from the inside out, literally just by the foods that you choose to consume. So it really does show that the gut has just an insane impact on how you feel on an everyday basis when it comes to physical, mental, and emotional health because of how connected the gut is to the brain. Pretty freaking cool if you ask me, if I do say so myself. Moving on. All right, let's talk about how to decrease cravings. So we know that cravings include that dopamine response. So we need to get in dopamine in some way that'll make us feel good now and later on. So what we can do for that is so we can eat less processed foods and we can eat more whole foods. So things that have very minimal ingredients to only one ingredient. These are going to be slower to digest, which evens out our blood sugar and can help with weight control. We can also drink more water. Many times dehydration disguises itself as either hunger or a craving. So if we drink more water, or if we satisfy our what we think is hunger or a craving with water, this can many times decrease that hunger or that craving because it was just that dehydration in disguise. You can also flavor your water to kind of make it a little bit more enjoyable if you would like. Just include things that don't have like dyes or high calories or high sugar in it. And then getting more sleep. I was kind of talking about this earlier. This can increase our leptin sensitivity. So remember, leptin is the hormone that tells us that we are satisfied, that we are full, that we no longer need to eat. So sleep helps us regulate that, and we're able to feel that signal a little quicker, which is helpful for weight management. And then it also helps us regulate our ghrelin. We're not going to feel as hungry all the time, which is also very helpful with weight management. We can eat more omega-3 fatty acids. This is also going to include increasing our leptin sensitivity, and it also regulates our ghrelin. So foods high in omega-3s, salmon, trout, tuna, nuts, seeds, soybeans. You can look up other sources on Google. Keep tempting foods out of the house. It's literally so simple. Just don't put them in the grocery cart to bring home. We know that if we see something, we're automatically going to be more inclined to go for it. So if you keep tempting foods out of the house, out of sight, out of mind. We can also find better alternatives for the things that we already eat but might not be the best choices for us to make. For example, maybe you're someone that loves chocolate. Instead of going for milk chocolate, you go for dark chocolate. Or maybe if you're someone that loves ice cream, you go for vanilla Greek yogurt and you freeze it. I don't know. Something that is going to be a healthier alternative that's also going to satisfy your sweet tooth. You crave what you eat a lot of. So if you eat a lot of shitty foods, you're going to crave those shitty things. And if you're someone that eats super clean and healthy all the time, you're going to crave those foods even more. So I was talking about that earlier. Like, I eat a lot of green vegetables, and if I haven't had a green vegetable in a while, my body sends me a signal like, holy crap, bitch, get in a green vegetable. You can also pair an unhealthy activity with a healthy activity. So if you know that you're going to be going out to eat tonight and kind of going all out, maybe you make sure you get in your workout and all of your protein beforehand. Or if you want to indulge in a dessert, you eat it while walking in place. Those are different ways that we can kind of offset those unhealthy habits. Okay, you guys, we do not need to deprive ourselves of the things that we love. Life is meant to be enjoyed. So if you love something, you don't need to say, that's bad, or I can never have that again. Because guess what? If you say no to that, or you can't have that ever again, your body is going to crave it more. This is literally why diets do not work for the long haul, because so many people cut out so many different foods or decrease so many calories that their body is deprived for so long, and this extreme restriction of either calories or certain foods can increase the cravings. When this happens, our cravings are going to go up, and it's going to be harder to resist the temptation. And then also our ghrelin is going to go up as well, which makes us hungrier. This is why after a diet, you are literally starving and cravings are out of control. And when you stop the diet, you're probably going to go back to those foods. And so there was no point in really cutting them out because you were already going to go back to them anyways. So instead of saying no to this or no to that, or I'm never going to eat this again, or I'm never going to eat that again, say, I need to eat less of this food. I need to reduce my intake of this food. Not eliminate it altogether, because again, that is only going to increase your cravings, which is going to be harder to manage over time, and it's just going to be detrimental for any weight loss or weight management goals that you might have. We can also talk about the 2 to 5 bite rule. This is something that a lot of my clients have used in the past, and it allows you to have 2 to 5 bites of something that you really love, but that you know is not really necessarily in alignment with your goals. You can allow yourself to have up to 2 to 5 bites of that certain food or dish. This can be really good for when you're at different family gatherings or different holiday dinners and lunches. This can kind of help you keep those different things under control, because you're still allowing yourself to enjoy the foods and enjoy your time with the people that you love, but you're also staying in alignment with what you're looking to accomplish, which is your goals. Oh, is that it? Okay. Well, you guys, I hope you got something out of this. I know cravings are hard to overcome, but with these tools, and then also just having the knowledge and awareness of how the gut is so connected with the way that you feel in all ways, physically, mentally, emotionally, hopefully this really shines a light on the things that you might need to work on.